Nathan wasn't lazy, not in the usual sense. He had dreams, big ones, but they lived only in his mind. Every night he'd plan, every morning he'd snooze. He talked about writing a book, starting a business, learning piano, but the moment action called, distraction answered louder. He wasn't alone. His friends cheered him on. "You're so talented," they'd say. "You're just waiting for the right time." But the right time never came. He'd scroll endlessly, switching between apps, videos, and fleeting motivation. He wasn't failing dramatically. He was drifting silently. Until one afternoon, when everything shifted, because of a random encounter at the park. Nathan sat on a bench, watching joggers and kids playing. His phone lay face down beside him. For once, he felt empty, not from lack of entertainment, but from too much of it. An old man nearby was sketching in a notebook, calm, present. Nathan couldn't help but ask, "What are you drawing?" The man looked up with a half smile. "Not drawing, designing discipline." Nathan laughed awkwardly. "What does that mean?" The man closed the book. "It means training the mind the same way you train muscles, with repetition, resistance, and rest." Nathan raised an eyebrow. "Mind doesn't have weights." The old man nodded. "That's what everyone thinks, until they meet the door." Nathan frowned. "What door?" The man pointed to his temple. "The one between thinking and doing. Most people stand in front of it their whole life, knocking, never entering." The old man smiled. "Ah, that's where the story begins." He motioned for Nathan to sit closer. Years ago, there was a small village near a vast desert. The people had food, homes, laughter, but they lived by one strict rule. No one was to enter the Whispering Sands, a stretch of dunes said to steal a man's mind. One boy, stubborn and curious, said, "I'll go at dawn and return by noon." But the desert was silent. No wind, no birds, just a stillness louder than any scream, and it crushed his thoughts. At first he panicked, but then something happened. With no distractions, he finally heard the voice inside his own head, loud, tangled, chaotic. Nathan leaned in, listening closely. In time, he realized the silence wasn't empty. It was full of truth, and in that truth, he found strength, self-discipline. The old man paused, then looked Nathan straight in the eyes and said, "You know what separates those who succeed from the rest? They listen to that voice, even when the world around them is completely quiet. And if you, right now, feel like something inside you is stirring, if a part of you is whispering that it's time to take that first step, then subscribe to this channel. Not for me, for you. These stories, they're not just stories. They're maps for those who don't yet know the way. And maybe, just maybe, your path begins right here." Nathan blinked. The story felt more real than metaphor. "So what happened to the boy?" he asked. The old man nodded slowly. "He came back, changed. Not in the dramatic way people expected, but his eyes, they didn't dart around anymore. His words were slower, his actions deliberate. He started waking up before dawn, helping without being asked, doing the hardest task first. And he didn't talk about goals. He just moved." Nathan felt something stir in his chest. "Why don't more people go into the desert then?" he asked. The man's smile faded. "Because they don't believe silence can teach. They're afraid of hearing their own mind. And discipline." He tapped his chest. "Discipline only grows where stillness lives." That night, Nathan couldn't sleep. He wasn't disturbed. He was awake, fully, mind spinning, not with noise, but questions. Was he standing at that door? Had he spent years knocking? The next morning, he did something radical. He turned off his phone for 4 hours. No music, no scrolling, just him and his thoughts. It was unbearable at first. Then something clicked. He noticed his breathing. He noticed how many thoughts repeated themselves, how often he avoided discomfort with distraction. He began journaling, meditating, reading a page, not a reel. Each day, he'd meet the old man at the same park bench. They rarely spoke. Sometimes, they'd sit for an hour in silence. Nathan learned more in that stillness than from 100 podcasts. One day, Nathan said, "You told me about the door. I think I found it." The old man smiled, and Nathan took a breath. I walked through. The man leaned back. That's discipline. It's not about forcing. It's about choosing the hard thing. Every day, even when no one's watching. Nathan nodded. But what if I lose it? You will, the man said calmly. Many times. But every time you return, you make the path clearer. Eventually, it becomes who you are. The old man stood. This was our last story, Nathan. The rest, you write. Nathan stood too. Thank you. As the man walked away, Nathan whispered, not for me, for you. He smiled and started walking, not perfectly, but purposefully. Weeks passed. Nathan's friends noticed the change. He was still Nathan, but sharper, calmer, more consistent. He didn't announce his goals anymore. He simply lived them. One friend asked, "Dude, what happened to you?" Nathan paused. I stopped negotiating with my distractions. He built a morning routine. He did the hard thing first. He worked in silence. And when motivation disappeared, he showed up anyway. He had walked through the door. Discipline isn't loud. It doesn't look heroic. It often goes unnoticed. But it's the difference between potential and progress, between dreaming and doing, between drifting and directing your life. So here's the question, just between us. What's one thing you know you should be doing, but keep delaying? Write it in the comments. Not for me, for you. And maybe, just maybe, today is the day you start building the future you say you want.